Good morning and welcome on the Global Direct Investment Show. This show is brought to you by Dukascopy TV and offshorepremium.com. Today we will discuss Singapore. As you may know, Singapore is ranking number 1 out of 189 countries on the World Bank Ease of Doing Business ranking. As Hong Kong, Singapore is one of the country benchmark against which all the other countries must be compared. In terms of location, Singapore is located at the tip of Southeast Asia. It has a multicultural population of 4,500,000 people. Singapore is located at a crossroad from all global exchange road, a very central and a very good position. Singapore is known for its cleanliness, not only in everyday life, but also in business. It is known for its rule of law, for the enforcement of property intellectual right, and also for the quality and productivity. But finally, Singapore is also known for its integrity and reliability. And this is more important than one would think. Let me give you an anecdote. One of our customers was specialized in purchasing bankrupt factories from Europe. Those were cement factory, paper factory, cigarette factory, and so on. He was bringing back those factories to Singapore, refitting them, and then was selling them to companies in countries where they could not afford the brand new factories. At some point, our client thought that if he was leaving Singapore to go in a low-cost countries, he could increase his margin. So after 6 months of studies, he decided to locate it in another country. But then, after 2 years, he was back in Singapore. Why? Simply because in the country he chose as the new location for his business, it was true, rental was cheaper, workforce was cheaper, everything was cheaper. But the country was plagued with corruption and he couldn't do any business. So this is why Singapore has such a good reputation. How to invest in Singapore? In terms of foreign direct investment, Singapore is with Hong Kong one of the most open countries in the world. There are very few activities where foreign investors may be restricted to invest. But for most business activities, foreign investors may set up a legal vehicle 100% foreign owned without any problem. What kind of legal vehicle can you use when you invest in Singapore? Of course, you have the limited company, public limited company, you can have partnership, limited partnership, you can have representative office, and of course, the trust. Is it expensive to invest in Singapore? In terms of setting up a company, it will be more expensive to set up a company in Singapore for a very simple reason. In Singapore, every company must have at any time a local resident director. So it costs more to set up because of this feature, it costs more to maintain. All Singapore companies need to file a balance sheet, but only big companies need to file audited account. If you are a small company, have less than 10 million Singapore dollar income and have less than 10 million Singapore dollar assets or have less than 50 employees, then you don't need to file audited accounts. Singapore currency is Singapore dollar. 1 Singapore dollar is today 0.66 euro. Singapore does not have currency exchange regulation. In terms of taxation, Singapore does not tax capital gain and does not tax dividends once they are paid. In terms of corporate income tax, every Singapore company must pay tax on Singapore-sourced investment and worldwide investment if brought into Singapore. Also, the corporate income tax rate is 17%. There are, however, discounts on the first 300,000 Singapore dollar taxable income. If you are a newly set up company, you will only pay between 0 to 5.6%. Then after you will only pay 8% on the 300,000 Singapore dollar taxable income. Now, the last advantage of Singapore. Singapore has a multicultural workforce, which is highly educated and highly productive. Actually, too much productive. There is not enough wedding and baby in Singapore because of this. Finally, Singapore has an immigration policy which is very open. So you can bring the best people into Singapore without any problem. This concludes our presentation on Singapore. If you need any more information, do not hesitate to contact me at renephilippe@renephilippe.com or on Skype at renephilippe2. This show was brought to you by Dukascopy TV and offshorepremium.com. Bye bye!